Welcome back to We're Live, pal. Andrew, you see what happens when we get to episode 100? Have the big episode with Brian Alvarez, and then all of a sudden we can't get back. Like, I don't know. We're finally back, though. Your office. How
Brian,
is your office?
terrible. The studio's going terribly. Way longer than I thought it would take. These guys were not out of here. It was supposed to be like a 1 week thing, and I was like, maybe 2 weeks I'll be down. No, it turned into a 1 month thing. I'm still not complete. The desks that we ordered are the wrong size. Nothing fits right. Like, if you're looking at this, it's a little off. The lighting is off. The cameras are off. I did the best that I could today with kind of framing this, but it's a total disaster. This is don't judge the studio based on this. It's gonna be better. The lighting is gonna be better. The cameras, the previous one took me like a decade to master.
Really?
I had the same setup for almost 12 years. So you add more, you remove, you kind of figure out the lighting, how it's supposed to look. I got these new LED panels now, and that plays a big part because these are not, I had the old school ones, like those big box ones. John, I don't know what you call them. Not the umbrella ones. I guess the box lights. But everyone's like, go to LED. Go to LED. It's so much better. It's not so much better. I mean, I think it's actually maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't know how to do this. I think that might be the problem. I think I got to kind of refocus and reorganize the studio a little bit with the lighting. But probably like in another week or two, it'll be exactly where I need it to be.
Well, we took off either the two worst weeks or maybe the two best weeks
God.
because there was the Vince McMahon story we haven't talked about. And I called it the Vince McMahon story, but I want to make sure that I keep on using Janelle Grant's name because it is her lawsuit. And the more you say it's just Vince, you kind of make her a little anonymous. And she is not anonymous. But I talked so much about that with Dave the last 2 weeks. And then we missed the big Raw to Netflix story, which kind of is right up our alley as far as what we generally talk about. But I think we have to open with We Want Cody. This is crazy. This is a crazy story because a lot of pro wrestling fans, I would even consider smart pro wrestling fans, were kind of maneuvered in a certain direction on this one. Like I had a really good buddy. He was so mad after SmackDown on Friday to the point of he had planned on going to WrestleMania and he canceled his plans for WrestleMania because of The Rock. What is going on here?
I think I'm one of the only people, one of the few people that's not as upset about this, about The Rock taking Cody's spot. Listen, I still think the bigger match is Dwayne and Roman. That's the bigger match here. That's the bigger story here. I understand. I mean, listen, Cody is collateral damage here to this. I understand why they want to go in that direction. How could they not? It's one of the biggest movie stars against one of the biggest talents of this generation. They're related. There's the built-in storyline. I understand why they want to go there. Is it's unfortunate for Cody that it got muddied like this, but they have multiple stories that they want to tell with Roman, and that's the direction that they're headed in. Cody's is secondary. Now, how they inject Cody in this and what they do is going to really matter. I would rather have them just have it be Roman and Dwayne and not have a convoluted story for Cody. Like, this is kind of falling. And again, we don't know what the final story is. Obviously, they have a plan here. They're going to go in a direction, but I don't want it to be like another Bryan Danielson moment where he's just injected in here and then it becomes a non-thought afterwards.
Well, he actually did win the title, but then he got injured after winning the title. So that scenario, unfortunately, we never got to see how that was going to play out, though he may have.
But I don't know if they had a plan. I mean,
he may have
Kane,
been beaten by Kane. Yeah, he may have lost to Kane in that scenario. Okay, so I want to retrace our steps backwards a little bit to the Royal Rumble, because if what we are now to believe, thanks to the reporting by a lot of folks, including our own Dave Meltzer, who said that before the Royal Rumble that this was the trajectory that they wanted to go into. Why did Cody win this match? What are your thoughts on why Cody won if this is where we were ending up?
I don't know. Well, you couldn't have Dwayne show up at number 30 and win. So that could have been one. But I don't know. I'm really the creative on how they're maneuvering this is fascinating me because there's a lot of reasons why they're going in this direction. Obviously, Seth is hurt, but he'll be ready. CM Punk is gone, so that match is not happening. So now there's an opening for a possibility of Cody in that title. I don't know how you satisfy everybody. I think it's going to be impossible to do this. You're not going to be able to satisfy everybody here. And that's unfortunate because obviously people want to see Cody win that title, but also part of the story is Roman is one of the most dominant champions that this company has ever had. He has this tremendous record and he's continuing to break it. I think he broke every single one now. Now Hogan's is the only one. I don't think he'll make it to Hogan. I don't think that was ever the plan to beat. I mean, I know that was never the plan to beat Hogan's, but we're here now. So it could turn into, well, maybe we should, or he drops it at WrestleMania. Or the other thing is, what if he beats Roman randomly on another show?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
They're
how you
have
get
some
out
big
of
shows
this.
coming up. The
It
way
could be
that
on a
they are
SmackDown. It could be on a Raw,
the way that they're telling this story right now, though, where they are sort of putting Cody in that Bryan Danielson role. Now, Cody hasn't actually said anything. On Friday SmackDown, all he said was he's not going to finish the story at WrestleMania. And then The Rock came in and they had a little whisper, and some people legitimately thought Cody was about to cry in that moment. Like, this is how manipulated I think the fans feel at least now. And maybe they still don't believe that they are being manipulated. It's a fantastic work, by the way. Now, where it started and how they decided to get there, I mean, from what it sounds like, almost the beginning. And a lot of things had to work out with Rock's schedule, I'm sure, as well. But okay, so Cody hasn't said anything. We Want Cody has now become PR for the company. They're having their wrestlers tweet it out. They have signs for the crowd, and they are really, really leaning into this idea that Cody Rhodes is the underdog or whatever you want to call it. Where does The Rock becoming a heel fit in this scenario, though? Do you think that was a misread by the creative, or could he have not ever been? I mean, could he have even been a babyface just by taking this spot? I'm not sure he could have been.
That's a good question. I think portion of that audience would have turned on him at WrestleMania regardless. Like I always saw the Hogan Rock switch possibly happening. I didn't feel like that was out of the element here, but I mean, how can anybody cheer for you when the company's purposely telling you, no, this is the wrong guy going into that match? They never do that. Like, this is something that they've never done. They've never told the audience, hey, you know that like mega star that we have and that other mega star, that's not the match you want to see. This is who the underdog is, who you want there. They've never done that by design. It's happened. Obviously, Danielson is the one that comes to mind, and they had to kind of pivot with it. But I don't think this is a pivot. I think this is whatever they're planning. When I reached out to someone at WWE this morning, they said, hey, this is the magic of WWE. Let it play out.
I think
so
that's what
I'm
Cody
letting
said,
it play
too.
out. Is that what he said?
I think he said on Twitter something about that yesterday. Very similar quote to "Let it play out" or "Trust me." I think he said "Trust me." The old Jake the Snake line, Cody.
Trust me.
Trust me. That is a telltale for me to absolutely not trust somebody's when they say.
But
Just
tons of
trust me."
elements, tons of moving parts, right? Tons of moving
Yes.
parts. So I mean, one is does that title need to be on Roman for the match with Rock? No, not really.
It doesn't, but I can't see Rock doing it without the title being involved. That's just
So
him
either
as
this
a celebrity or as a big star or thinking business. I think he probably believes at this point the title would have to be at stake because it would just make the match and stakes bigger.
So would the people that are upset over it, obviously, and I'm asking this question. I'm not presenting you to think. I really want you to know. I want to know what people are thinking. Would it upset people if Roman loses to Dwayne and then at Backlash or whatever that next pay-per-view is, Cody beats The Rock?
That would be amazing, by the way,
Right?
if
Because
that happened.
then it's like a real big win, right? You beat one of the greatest of all time to get this title. I don't know. They tend to do this at WrestleMania. They book themselves into a corner. We said this last year with Roman's reign, no pun intended, or maybe a
Yep,
little intended.
yep.
Uh, I think most people thought that Cody was winning it. That was the year. But now you're a year later, and we still don't have an answer. And it's even worse than before. Part of the problem also last year, Garrett, was that The Rock was still in play to some extent.
Yes,
Up
you've
until I
mentioned
think
this.
like January-ish. He was still in play. And the year prior to that, too, he was still in play. Not like this. That was always dangled. And obviously he wants that match with Roman. He's wrestling at WrestleMania, whether it's a three-way or whatever convoluted mess they could do. I don't know. I don't want to see a three-way. I'm one of the few people that wants to see. I want to see Cody win that title at WrestleMania for sure, like 100%. But if I'm talking about a business move, if I'm talking about, this is a new WWE and we're shifting into different gears here, what's a bigger main event than this? There isn't, and unfortunately it's not Cody. I'm not talking
Okay.
about my personal opinion. I'm talking about as uh, as big of a WrestleMania you can make. That would be it.
Yes, if Dwayne Johnson came to you and said, "Hey, I can do it this year," I'm not sure Triple H and Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel are saying, "Sorry, Dwayne, we already have the story written for Cody." They're going to figure out a way to do the
Yeah.
match that they've kind of been half promoting for the last few years, anyways. And the second that Dwayne did the head of the table line on Raw, I thought that this is where they were going. But then when you have Cody win the Rumble, then that changes it because I think people were locked into the idea that, oh, maybe Rock somehow shows up at the Rumble, and he didn't. So there was it's not that they necessarily changed plans. They just didn't follow up with fans in the way that fans thought they were going to follow up with. And then you had people, including Brian and Dave, saying, "Oh, I guess it's Cody and Roman after all," and The Rock may not be involved. So the information was tightly kept and smartly so because now they're getting people going crazy about this story.
Yeah.
Would
It's
you
interesting.
go ahead?
No, it's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm very listen, I've been watching Raw since Punk returned.
I know. I'm kind
Live.
of like watching it
Live.
like that night. Like I usually wait until Tuesday morning, but I'm like, you know what? I have some time. I I just want to find out what's going to happen, and that's the
Yeah.
whole reason why they do this stuff. I did the same thing with SmackDown. Usually, I watch SmackDown if I can get to it. Maybe on Saturday or Sunday, but on Friday, I watch it Friday night. Just zip through it, and then no, actually Friday I watched live. No, I did watch live because I saw the segment live because I tweeted out. Um, how can The Rock be involved? He's not even in the rankings. Can't be
You
in
know,
this
they
match. He's not in the rankings.
I feel like they would have had if they had for whatever reason decided to go with, "Oh, look, I could see it now, John. I could see the WWF Titan logo flickering. Do you guys see that? Or no, nobody else
I
sees
do
it,
it. I
just
could
me.
see it.
You
Yeah,
do.
I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having a frame mismatch. I got to figure that out too. I think what would have been interesting is if they decided that Punk won,
Mhm.
right? If Punk
Mhm.
had won the Rumble, I think, and Cody was number 2, I think it would have given a better element to this. With Punk being out, that where does he go now? Does he want to challenge for that title? Because isn't it silly? Like, you're not going to challenge for the world title. You don't want that title. What? You're too good for it.
Somebody asked me or not me directly, but they asked a question in the Discord about the idea of you burying a title. And I said, look, if there's two titles and the guy wins and he picks one, you're kind of burying the other one just because you're not choosing it. Like, that's going to happen anyways. So that's just kind of how they do WrestleMania. And, when Edge picked Alberto Del Rio for
Yeah.
WrestleMania, I don't even remember what the other match was. Like, did he chose that was the important belt. So, and they've been telling us that this Roman belt is the most important. So if Punk was like, yeah, I picked Seth's belt, I think Punk looks like a goober, right? Like, for picking Seth's belt.
I mean, we also have to remember Roman was the man that was walking around with 3 titles at one point.
Yes,
He had this
yes.
new one, right? He had and isn't it interesting they don't on the actual title it doesn't say universal title or universal champion?
What does it
Have
say?
you noticed that? I hang on, let me see. WWE universal champion. Let's see. It says, where is this? Let me find a new one. Undisputed champion.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't that something?
I
Why is
guess
it
it
the
just
why is he
makes
the
it more
universal
important,
champ?
right?
Why is he the universal champion? He's the undisputed champion. It's one title. There's not multiple titles anymore.
I don't know. That's interesting. Um, okay,
Half in, half out.
so kind of to put a cap on this, and we'll have much more to talk about this on future shows. It's going to be dominant, I'm sure. They have this press conference on Thursday. I really wish, not that I wanted to go to this press conference, but it kind of feels like an important deal. And here's how I explained it to myself, because I'm down on press conferences in general because I think they're so fake and everything. But this one I'm not down on, because you know what this is? For
Hmm.
long time wrestling fans, we're going back to WrestleMania 4. They did a show called The Main Event, and they would put it on Friday night in prime time. And that would be the WrestleMania angle for the main event. And it was Andre pinning Hogan, right? With the two referees. The one referee had plastic surgery to look like the other referee, even though they were
Yeah,
the
yeah.
twin Hebners. And then the year after that was the explosion of the Mega Powers. Because the Hulkster, he had lust in his eyes for Elizabeth. And that's what this is to me. This Thursday fake press conference, whatever you want to call it, it is where the angle, at least we expect, it is where the angle is going to happen. And they're in Las Vegas. The Super Bowl, as you can tell, my hat here, the Super Bowl is in Las Vegas. So there's going to be tons of media around anyway. I don't know if there's going to be like someone from the Athletic beat covering the WrestleMania press conference, but there will be people out there because there's just stuff going on. And I just think this is like fantastic marketing, like to take
Yeah.
advantage of the Super Bowl in this way. And as Big Dave mentioned on Wrestling Observer Radio, it's not like you could have just said, hey, 3 days ago, we want to book T-Mobile. Like, they've had this thing booked probably for a long time. It's just fascinating. Like, the whole thing is great marketing, I think. And you're a marketing guy. I know you realize that as well. But what are your thoughts on this Thursday presser that they're going to do?
So I actually wanted to ask you, what do you think is going to happen?
What I would hope is that we get some more storyline advancement so that they can officially announce the matches. That's what I hope.
I like I'm very curious. I'm very curious how they maneuver this. I don't know what the answer to this is. I don't know what's going to make people happy. I think that unfortunately, no matter what they announce, a lot of people are going to be left very unhappy because uh it's not going to be what they wanted. Either they wanted to see just Cody in a match, or it's going to be a three-way, or it's going to be Dwayne in the match and Cody announces something else. Or maybe The Rock says, hey, after I beat him, I'm giving you my first title shot. and it becomes a thing. I don't know. Maybe Cody turns. He joins the bloodline. F you, Dwayne.
There is more than one wrestling family.
There is more than one wrestling family. I don't know. I like going into this with no expectations, and it's fun to cover wrestling like that.
It is. I know that our good friend, former co-host of this show, Denise Salcedo, is supposed to be there. I think she's heading out there. I think Sean is heading out there. Yeah, I think Sean is going out there. I'm not sure. And this is just based on Twitter. Plans could possibly have changed, but that's what I heard. I wonder who else is going out there. You should be out there. Come on, you can make a quick trip to
You know what?
Vegas.
I could very easily justify that trip on Thursday to Vegas.
Yeah,
very easily I could justify it.
It could be a business trip for you, right?
Well, I just came back from LA, so that West Coast. Do you know it took me almost 7 hours to get to LA?
Really?
It was the longest flight I've ever taken out west.
Is it because of weather?
No, it was just a slower flight there. I don't know why. And when they went to land, there was a problem at LAX, and he had to go back. Like he went down and he went nope, and he went right back up, and went around for like 40 minutes.
Oh my god! Were people tripping out when you guys went back up in the air?
Yeah, everybody's like, "What the hell?" And then he came on the thing. He's like LAX doesn't know how to run their airport or whatever he said.
How about tell us that before you go back up, so we don't think anything's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think here's a scenario. Now, this is all speculation on my point, in my opinion here. I think, and you can already see this play out. You see all of the websites covering this angle because Dwayne is involved, right? I think even like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety, like they're all covering this like real news, the fact that Dwayne is involved in this match. And if you just have this press conference and you put Dwayne and Roman and Cody all together, you're getting Roman Reigns and you're getting Cody Rhodes in all of these shots that are being covered by this mainstream media, where even if Rock wasn't there and you did something like this, you'd still get some of it, but they're counting on his face being, the big driver to the attention, which is really smart. And they may think, because this is about business, they may think that hardcore fan who thought that Cody was going to win at WrestleMania, which we don't know for sure if he was, they already pulled the football from us last year with the way that match happened. And who knows if they were what really they were going to do, but they may be okay with turning away some of the more hardcore fans if you could then bring in more casual fans. Now, I will tell you, I have a casual friend group that, every once in a while they'll send us texts about wrestling. It's more about, sports and stuff, and just things that we generally follow as like 40-year-old dudes. They were very interested in this entire Rock thing. Like, to them, what was the exciting thing of the story for them was that The Rock, he was using his stroke, and he pulled his stroke on Cody, and he didn't care about Cody, and he's now a board member, and he was using his power, and Cody was powerless here and just had to be a good employee. Like, that's the story that they were really kind of hoping was true and leaning into, because it's just chaos at that point. But they're talking about it. They're not going to be talking about Cody and Roman necessarily, to me, just in general. They're talking to me because it's The Rock. So that's a part of it. And they're taking, I don't know how big of a risk this is. It's probably actually a small risk, but the only risk I see is that the fan base has been very happy with the product these last 2 years. And so you're kind of disrupting that a little bit. And I guess you're just hoping that you're bringing more eyeballs And you have more peak eyeballs this year too, right? Because they added a couple million people to the Peacock network based on the football game. So there's going to be more people, and you're hoping that out of the almost 3 million people, or 2.5, or whatever it was, you're hoping that some majority of them stayed on. There's more eyeballs for WrestleMania. Maybe this is a driver of more Peacock subs. So the whole thing is fascinating. This is not the last time we'll be talking about it. It's an evolving story, but like you said, it's fun. It's super, like, we're on it. It's great for us because we do a podcast that talks about wrestling. So fantastic stuff.
Yeah, but let me just add this. I know we're going to move away. Here's the other side of this. Oh, there's Fox, Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Disney create new sports streaming venture. I just got this sent to me. Do you see
I
this?
literally just got this too.
Yeah, just got it. Wall Street Journal. Service will be available on ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max subscribers. Fascinating. Okay, well, we'll touch on it. I'm going to touch on this, right?
Okay.
From all the people that I've spoken to about this, obviously The Rock showing up has brought all these people back, being invested in wrestling again. Not one of these people that I know, like casual fans, has said to me, well, it's a shame Cody's not going to be in that main event. Everybody wants to see Dwayne. And that's how this company thinks. And we're going to see more of this. I'm telling you guys, Bad Bunny's going to be world champion. Logan Paul's going to become world champion. This is Taylor Swift could win that women's title. This is going to be the new WWE. I'm not saying today. I'm not saying tomorrow, but this is where this is headed.
It's a good point. Did you see who they added to the video game, to the 2K video game?
No.
Muhammad Ali is a playable character as a wrestler in the 2K video game.
Stop. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to fight Muhammad Ali so I can put him in an airplane spin. That's what I want.
Listen, guys, I'm not, and again, I'm not giving you what I want to see. I'm saying what the goal of Endeavor will be. Has nothing to do with in-ring wrestling.
Yep.
Those days are done. It's about what's the most bang for your buck that you're going to get in a main event, in press, covering, for them to cover your company. We're seeing the shift. It's the beginning. We're going to see more of it.
All right, let's talk some AEW here. We got a half an hour left. We right at the middle point. We have a show on Wednesday, pretty large Dynamite. We'll go over the show in a second here, but there's an announcement that Tony Khan is going to make, and most people believe it is something that you and I have been talking about on this show for quite a while. Some people are referencing your Twitter during the Grammys. You're tweeting about old rock groups. And are we to believe that this is having to do with one Mercedes Moné?
I know the answer. You want me to am I going to still pretend that it's not Mercedes?
Well, that's the setup, right? What is, like, how confident are we that this is what this is?
I would bet my house.
Really?
Yeah, I would bet my house
on studio and everything.
With the new studio, you could have this Fakakta studio. I'm not a fan of it. These lights gotta go. I gotta fix this whole place. No, it's from day one when the rumors started, I was told point blank that it was happening.
Yes.
I've spoken to you off air about how it's happening, and it's exactly happening the way that I was told it was going to happen. Listen, I think it's fun to speculate, right? But this is a big get for Tony. Tony is obviously very aggressively pushing the women's division in that company for this year. That's one of the goals that they have. We're seeing that happen with Deanna signing. Mercedes is going there. Some people like women's wrestling, and that's going to be great for them. And other people, they're not so much high up on the women's wrestling, and they don't care about it. And they're going to be detractors, and that's fine. But this is a monumental moment for this company. This is one of those missing pieces that they needed. You're trying to build a healthy brand that appeals to a lot, to more than just the guy that wants to see a Bryan Danielson and Minoru Suzuki match, which is me. But you have to appeal to others also in order for growth. They announced Boston. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Let's say they do. They announced Boston. They announced the TD Garden. Rumors. That's what the rumor is, right? Mercedes shows up in March. What do you do then? I don't know. But
The
this is the
one
big get for
time,
Tony.
so the one time they did this was for Punk, and they still didn't even really announce anything, right? Like it wasn't like they announced CM Punk is going to be on Friday. Watch him debut on Rampage. The secrecy of it led us to believe that it was Punk, but we still had to watch just to make sure. Do you think they're going to do something similar with Mercedes, or are they going to actually show her and announce her on the television, or is it going to be more secret, sort of to lead you to watch whatever show it is, like they did with Punk?
You know, I'm curious about that too, because with Punk, what drove that show to be sold out without an announcement was the speculation. It was the worst kept secret, right? But I think once you announce, Boston, and you kind of make a couple, you allude that it's Mercedes, you could figure out some way to do it. I don't know. I don't know if they actually announced. I know that she filmed some stuff. She shot some stuff for them already. So I don't know. But listen, what will be a success, right? How do you measure that success? Is it going to be a sellout? Is it going to be 7,000 people in that building? Is it going to be 1 million viewers? Is it going to be 900,000? I think that's going to be a big question here.
Yeah, my worry, and I don't think this is going to happen, but I think the risk is setting it up for failure a little bit if it's not as big as maybe they are reading it to be. Like, to me, I think you should make it as big as humanly possible. You have an opportunity to create a star and push her as like the top women's wrestler in the world, right? And I would push it as big as humanly possible. But if what if the attendance isn't fantastic? What if the rating isn't fantastic? It's sort of a repeat of something, and usually when you do the repeat, it doesn't quite work as good. So I might even be a little bit more into like a different creative idea, just so that it's not a repeat. But you could also say, hey, like this worked the first time. Maybe it won't work as well, but it already worked, and our audience is kind of built for this kind of thing. So I'm intrigued. I would like to see how they do this, and to me, I think she is she is somebody who you can create around, but she's also a pretty independent person who believes in her value. So that could be interesting as well.
Listen, I think a lot of people want second chances, and I think this may be a great opportunity for her to kind of show, listen, I'm not just a WWE performer. I could do so much more. I am a wrestler's wrestler. And I think that's something that she wants to kind of prove also. We're seeing that. I mean, she's been training with Hoovy. She's been training with different people, obviously before her injury, but she is a world-class wrestler. She's right up there. She's one of the most if you're talking about WWE women's wrestling, one of the most important pieces to that puzzle that they had over the last decade. And now it's a question of, okay, now you're an established star. You've established your abilities. Can you do this again somewhere else? And I think Tony believes that she can, and a lot of people believe that she can. I hope she does. I hope this is tremendous for them. This is only a positive for wrestling.
Yes, I agree. Before we talk more about AEW, I wanted to read from somebody did send me the article that you were talking about. The Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers Discovery app. It's a joint streaming platform to share sports assets The service will be available on ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max. Each company will own 1/3 of the product. So that 1/3 would be 1/3 Fox, 1/3 Max, 1/3 Disney, according to people familiar with the matter, and it is expected to launch later this year. So people who are predicting the rebundling, it is coming. It is definitely coming. And so, you almost don't even need to have, if you're worried only about sports, you don't need to have all three of those subs. Maybe you only need one
Yeah.
if you're only a sports fan. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Even though I do have all three myself, but that's because I'm a stickler for just having everything. But yeah, that's a very interesting bundle there for sports fans.
We also have a couple super chats. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, 472 499 says the Rock Roman match was anticipated for years before even Cody was in the company. Hate how the poor execution has stained the hype and build for this. I think I don't know what they could have done to
So
make it
I
better.
actually I want this stuff to play out before I consider whether the execution was poor or not, because we also don't know what they were trying to do yet, and maybe we'll know completely
Yeah.
by
Well,
Thursday.
Thursday.
So the execution is manipulative, is what it is, and so it is designed to draw passion and emotions out of fans. Like that's what it's built there to do. In a time and day when it's supposed to be a lot harder to work the hardcores, right? They did a pretty good job of that. So, yeah, I would like to wait to see this out in full before I decide whether or not it wasn't a good idea, or it wasn't a good process so far.
Honcho with 499 asks, how much input or influence do you think Roman has in this? I'd assume he'd prefer to face The Rock and pass Hogan's and passing Hogan before dropping to Cody. I don't. These guys are pros. They'll do whatever they think is the best decision. But I do know that they both really want to wrestle each other. So if there's an opportunity for you to wrestle The Rock and he's your cousin, and he's the biggest movie star in the world, why would you not take that opportunity?
Yeah, especially because Cody is always going to be there, right? Yeah, at least you would think that match is always going to be there. That one-on-one match, you can always do it. What if instead of fighting for this undisputed championship, what if The Rock gets a new championship created called the BMF Championship? He did that in UFC already.
Well, he did that already. Yeah, he did that already.
The Under Armour Championship with his logo on it. No, the whole thing about Roman, I'm sure out of, I think the idea is he would have some say for sure. But I mean, he probably doesn't even, you remember back in the day, the story of Randy Savage becoming the world champion was because Honky Tonk Man said that he wasn't going to lose his Intercontinental Championship. And so instead they moved Randy to the heavyweight title. I think that's what Dave has said for years. Like, that is someone just outright looking out for themselves and not wanting to do business. Now, we don't know the particulars from Honky's side. I haven't heard his story. But in this situation, why would Roman not want to do business? Because every time he does business, his character and his storyline becomes stronger. So I'm sure there's a lot of trust in what the company and what creatively they're doing, and they're going to make it worth his while. The dude barely ever has to wrestle. Why would he put his foot down on certain things? You pick your battles and they take care of you, and that's kind of how it seems to be working to me.
Here's another one. Oh, we got a bunch, actually. Do you want me to continue with these?
Yeah, let's keep going. We'll talk about Dynamite at the end.
Yeah, hold on. Let's okay. Buck's Basement, 499. Rock and Roman is a match in just name. Rock looked gassed. He's not delivering a Mania
Gassed in
quality
what way?
match.
There's two versions of gas.
Yeah, there's two, and he looked both. You don't want to know what Philly will do to The Rock. I think they'll listen. He's not going to put on a 5-star 2024 level match. That's not what he does. But you know what? The same thing was said about Rock and Hogan. It was a smoke and mirrors match, and everybody left there really happy. Steve Austin and wrestled 2 years ago, 3 or whatever it was. And it was a smoke and mirrors match, and I'm sure they'll do the same exact thing. The Rock doesn't have to do anything except an eyebrow, an elbow, a rock bottom, a false finish rock bottom, a kip up, and that's it. The crowd is going to eat it up because it's the last time you'll probably see him do that, and he's the biggest star in the world. Whether or not they boo him, it doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, the story, I find it difficult to believe that match is going to be a travesty, a disaster of a main event. I think it's going to be fine. I just don't think it's going to be, a 5-star classic. Maybe
Adding Cody
5 stars.
Adding Cody to that match actually makes it better if you think about it. If that was the plan, because it's all smoke and mirrors, if you add Cody, the work rate, the actual wrestling, and then you can do stuff where Dwayne hangs out on the side and under the ring for 10 minutes at a time if they want. But the other thing about this, and what in using your Hogan and Rock comparison, The Rock leaned into being a heel in that match.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't pout. He didn't go, "Oh man, why are they booing me?" He leaned into it because he understands how pro wrestling works, first and foremost. So, because there's a lot of questions about people saying, "Oh, did he come back to be a heel?" Like, I mean, does he have to be the smiley babyface all the time? I mean, some people will treat him as a babyface no matter what, and some people will treat him as a heel no matter what, just because he's old and, quote, taking somebody's spot. That's just how wrestling fans react. So that is the other part of it, where he may not even care if he gets booed. He may think that that's fantastic and just lean into it, because Hollywood Rock was like some of the greatest work he ever did. If you go back to that time frame, that was like one of the best characters he ever had, was Hollywood Rock.
I think he's one of the most important professional wrestling characters ever developed. And for a multitude of reasons. One, the avenue he's created, he paved the road for a wrestler to become a major movie star. It was attempted multiple times. It never happened. It was almost impossible because that stigma existed. You were a wrestler. You weren't a movie star. So he broke that glass ceiling for a lot of talent. John Cena's had a successful Hollywood career. Obviously, there's a couple Mercedes, which this goes into another question that we have by Trust the Process 34, $4.99. I pop every time he mentioned that username. By the way,
yeah, he's awesome. He's like
I always pop. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's like 8 a.m. and I'm taking my shower and I hear Trust the Process asks, and I'm like, there he is. Here's a question for Andrew. Do you know or suspect Mercedes' deal will be a combo deal with AEW or WBD for films and acting roles? I have not heard a thing about it being a combo deal with acting. I know that she very much enjoys it as far as the acting side goes, but I don't know. I haven't heard a thing about that.
That, like, we've never seen that, right? Like, I know that whenever you think about these companies working with WWE or AEW, like, okay, like, now do they do anything outside? Like, in some instances, them working outside of the wrestling company could make them a bigger star. But then, do you want them away for long? Like, there's other parts of that, but that could be attractive for a wrestler. It's like, oh, I will pick WWE over AEW or vice versa based on other things that are involved that I could be freed up to do. And maybe she couldn't do a lot of the stuff she wants to do in WWE that she may want to do in AEW. Who knows? We'll have to see what goes on there.
Yeah. All right, that was it. That's all I had.
All right. Pretty big Dynamite coming up on Wednesday. Where are you with we haven't talked in a couple weeks. Where are you with current AEW television? Do you like it?
Yeah, I always like
Are
it. I think they've been better. I think it's been a better product. They've gone to basics again. You know, the back to basics approach has helped them out a lot. I love these wacko matches that we get randomly. Like people are complaining about Minoru Suzuki and Edge and Adam. I thought that was fantastic to see. You'll never see that again. You will never see that again.
yes,
And you know, I same thing. You know, the last weekend, Danielson and oh God, who
is it Hechicero?
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 Hechicero. Sorry, guys, I'm butchering it. I speak many languages. Spanish is not one of them, unfortunately for me. I speak all the useless languages that nobody uses. I thought that was awesome to see because it's a bizarre match. You know, for me, I'm into it. I think they've been doing a much better job. I think the Swerve story's been good. The Sting obviously is the big story here. They have a lot of injuries that they gotta make up for, and they're doing their best here. And I think, you know, the second half of this year is going to be very telling for this company. I know some things that are in motion here that I think are going to be positives to their TV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been fine with it, and even Collision, you know, the attend, but unfortunately for them, the optics matter and the perception matters, and the perception right now for them is who the hell cares how good your matches are?
Mm-hmm.
What's your TV rating and what's your attendance? When you have, I mean, they had a bet. I think it was like over 3,000 this week for Collision, but they got to be higher than that. I know that, you know, I've heard Dave say like, well, you know, in the history of wrestling, you know, 4,000, 5,000 is a good crowd. Yes, absolutely. But they're not at 4,000, 5,000. They're sitting in the 2,000s for some of these shows. Very vocal crowds. They love doing it. But in order to be competitive with perception, you have to have those buildings full. I think they have a different battle there. I don't find a problem with their TV. My problem is their marketing.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking. I'm like, you know, these are the improvements you can make. But you know what they have done? They have stopped shining the light on the crowd. Have you noticed that?
Mm-mm.
They're back to, you know, hitting the spot like the color lights on the crowd like they used to before they flipped everything over, where they wanted to see everybody in the building. I don't want to see anybody in the building. I don't want to see your wacky signs. I like that the building is full, but I like the light on the crowd.
Yeah.
I think, you know, right now it's a transition year, and they realize what their problems are. I'll tell you that. It's not that, you know, Tony's not inept. This is not an inept company. Listen, man, they did something tremendous. Brian Keith. Love that guy. They signed him. I don't know. Is he?
I mean, I don't know too much about him. I know that he was like one of the folks who on Twitter people would kind of go crazy for whenever there was like an independent show, and so that's kind of how I knew about him. And then when he showed up on AEW TV, I was like, oh wow, this guy's unique. He's different character. And then he never won a match. And then I was like, well, these rankings sure don't matter when it comes to payroll, because then they signed him anyways. But good for him.
What do you
happy.
make of it? I haven't gotten your thoughts of the shows the last month. I think they've been okay. I've enjoyed them.
I think the product is a little sleepy right now. Some of that is because WWE is kind of hitting on all cylinders and taking a lot of the attention away. And sometimes, you know, some of this was the competition, you know, especially with the NFL playoffs. I was trying to figure out how to watch Collision. And what happened is that I think I missed 2 in a row. And then last week, I was like, okay, there's no real competition from that national standpoint. And so maybe I'll catch back up with Collision. But I kind of already had missed 2 in a row. And I didn't feel like missing Collision really was, you know, really hurt me as a viewer of AEW product. Like Dynamite still was sort of meant the same. And so last week, I got really behind in following the Warriors too. And so I actually watched 2 Warriors games like a day late. And that was like the competition for my eyeballs for Collision was like, oh, I got to watch these two Warriors games. And I had to bump Collision. So I missed like 3 Collisions in a row. Now, there may be a point where, they dial that show back up, but I sort of feel like it is Dynamite light for the hardcores, the hardcore of the hardcores, maybe even. And you're going to get unique matches, like you said. You're going to get a lot of Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. That's awesome. But nothing happens on that show. Like, it's not like this Mercedes announcement happens on Collision. No, it happens on Dynamite. That's the A
Of
show.
course,
That's
yeah.
the one that I have to pay attention to. And
Yeah.
if I have time, then I'll watch Collision. And then if I have nothing going on, then I'll also be able to watch Rampage. But that is less and less the case for
I
me. Is that I just I just run out of time with stuff, and
I
now I've
I
missed
tend
it.
to watch Collision live on Saturday because I don't go out on Saturdays. I'm home generally on Saturdays. So 8 o'clock comes, I put it on, I have a couple cocktails, I'm nice and loose, so I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah.
But that night is a nightmare for them. That is not a good night for them. And I'm very curious what they do if SmackDown were to move from Fridays. What do you do then? I would say you get the hell out of Saturday and now you put your show on a legacy time slot.
Hmm.
I think a lot of these issues with Collision, we're gonna have an answer. Obviously, if SmackDown moves to another night, what do you do? I know that SmackDown does not like being on Fridays. WWE never liked them being on Friday because it's a logistical nightmare, especially during like a WrestleMania weekend
Yeah. Yeah.
when you lose out on certain things that you could do. You could do something different. I don't. There's a lot of moving parts this year, a ton of moving parts. Listen, an AEW may not be for everybody. If you're looking for good, a certain type of wrestling, it's for you. If you're looking for the stories of WWE and the brightness of that show, the WWE is for you. That's fine. You could be a number 2. You could be a distant number 2. That doesn't mean that you're failing. I think this is going to be a very interesting year. It's going to be a pivotal year for the company, depending on the TV rights and everything else that they're doing.
Okay, so Dynamite. We have Tony Khan's big announcement, which we spent a lot of time talking about. And this is in Phoenix, Arizona, by the way. Do you know what the ticket sales are like for this one? Because, I mean, it's a pretty giant Dynamite for them.
I could find it. It wasn't bad, actually. It was actually it was better than I thought it's been. So I'll pull it up while you run down the card.
Okay, so we have a women's world title eliminator. Tony Storm versus Red Velvet with Deonna Purrazzo on commentary. This is a match that is very predictable. I find Red Velvet to be super athletic, and I think she's got a lot of promise. But I don't imagine, this will be competitive. I don't imagine she's winning this one though. We have Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli against Mystico, Volador Jr., and Hechicero. What do you think about Moxley possibly showing up in CMLL?
CMLL. It's almost embarrassing for me. I am not as familiar with CMLL as I should be. I went down a deep rabbit hole like a decade ago, but it's really been something I haven't really watched too much of. I find the integration interesting for them. The tremendous talents. I don't know if it means anything to anybody. I guess Jon Moxley wrestling in CMLL is going to be fascinating to see. But, these are bucket list items for these guys, and Tony's giving it to them. And that's fine. I think that's okay, to use it. By the way, the ticket sales here, they're going to be over 5,000 by tomorrow.
But that's an NBA arena, so they probably seat like
they scaled
17,000 for basketball.
Yeah, they scaled it to 5,200.
Okay.
So they'll be at 5,000. They're 4,600 as of yesterday. So they moved 130 tickets a day ago. The last time they were there, by the way, last February, they had 7,000 in the building.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, the Forbidden Door this year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
if Okada is going to be in the U.S.
Yeah.
and Will Ospreay is going to be in the U.S., is New Japan the only partner for the Forbidden Door show? Because do they have talent that AEW fans are desperate to see on a pay-per-view? Naito?
Um, Naito.
You're already getting Moxley and Naito in April, which could have been a Forbidden Door match. Maybe there's a follow-up to that. But I just started thinking about this. Like, New Japan is going through their own transition. And the Forbidden Door show in of itself was kind of a draw because of these dream matches. And there's some great young talent in New Japan. I mean, and AEW's audience is generally smart enough to know who those guys are, so that may be a little bit of a draw. But I do wonder if the Forbidden Door is going to be like New Japan and and other places where you can find folks. I just don't.
Yeah,
I just wonder about that whole thing.
I think it's more the wacky matches that you won't see regularly than anything else. I mean, they do a Forbidden Door match every week now. You're getting these, but I think CMLL being integrated is going to be telling. I have a Forbidden Door story that I'm waiting. I will announce it in a month.
All right. I think
I
people
have
are
something
waiting
on Forbidden Door. I have something.
People keep asking me about that one.
What are they asking you?
They're just asking about. Look, basically the question is Forbidden Door at Madison Square Garden? That's the question that I get.
Oh, do you want me? I'll answer that right now.
Go ahead.
You want that answer? I need a drum roll, right? No.
There you go. So that will stop that specific question from coming.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's finish up the card here for Wednesday. Chris Jericho against Takeshita. Chris Jericho is he's still beating folks that I kind of wonder if he should be beating at this point. And I sort of feel like he's beaten Takeshita, and I sort of feel like maybe he shouldn't beat Takeshita on this show.
I don't think he should beat him. No, and I think I don't think they've done good by him. By the way, by Takeshita, I think they have missed a couple key opportunities here with him. There's something very impressive. You look at him, and you're like, there's something there.
Omega injury probably is at least part of the reason, right? Because
the Omega injury for sure, yeah. But they waited, a little bit. They were doing that Don Callis thing. They filmed it. They decided not to use it. But now with Okada coming, I mean, or not, I don't know. Let me backtrack. I don't know about Okada. I don't know what his deal is right now, but he's a tremendous performer, Takeshita.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some very unique opportunities with him, but they just got to go forward. And he can't lose. He can't keep losing.
Has he lost? Who has he lost to?
Takeshita?
Yeah, I don't think he's lost, has he?
Well, early on he was losing when he showed
up.
Right.
Yeah, recently, I guess.
Yeah,
he
Listen,
was.
He's young too. He's a young man. He's 28 years old. They got a couple of years with him, and I feel there's a lot of stop and go also there. There's a lot of stop and go because there's so much talent that you're trying to present properly. I hope he beats Chris Jericho and they kind of create this momentum with him.
Yeah, me too. All right, Big Bill and Ricky Starks defend their titles against Sting and Darby Allin. I am crossing my fingers that nothing happens to Sting. He gets out of this match completely healthy because he's got the big one coming on the pay-per-view. I'm assuming tag title change or something to that effect on this match.
What if it's like a Flair low blow?
A Flair low blow?
Yeah, Flair shows up and he screws Sting once again.
Oh man.
Put the titles on them. Why not?
Yeah, I hope so. I want to see
drop
that
it to
story.
The Bucks.
No, I want to see him win. They got to beat the Bucks. Sting's got to go. Sting's got to retire the hero.
Flair's gonna screw him for the 80th time.
Yeah, these are the dumb baby face. I don't like dumb baby
The
faces.
dumbest
All right,
baby's face. The dumbest. Yeah.
and then the main event of this show for the winner gets the next title shot at Revolution. Swerve against Hangman. I still don't think that this is fair. Swerve won 2 times. Why does Hangman even get a chance? But they're doing this match, and it's not 2 out of 3 matches. It's just 1 match. They could still do a 3-way, I'm assuming, at Revolution. But who do you think wins this one?
I don't know. I know the focus is on Swerve, obviously, and it should be. I don't know who wins it, but here's the other thing. Do you take the title off of Joe already? Or do you let him hang on to that till Double or Nothing? Or,
Are they doing an April pay-per-view?
I don't. Sorry, my mic's breaking. I don't know.
Okay, if they do an April
I will say this.
pay-per-view.
I will say this. I have heard things that possibly, but I have not been able to double verify or whatever. But if they do an April, I'm gonna backtrack a little. I know that the goal was to add more pay-per-views to the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I was told there will be 12 pay-per-views in 2024, but that's with counting Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor is canon to that company.
Ooh.
So if they add another pay-per-view, what month could it be? Obviously, It's not in February. We already have the March pay-per-view. So do you do something in April? We'll find out. I think that'll be something interesting.
But basically, I was saying, if
Thanks,
they
Garrett.
do have an April, if they do have an April pay-per-view, you could have Joe win and keep the title. But I think if you get all the way till the Double or Nothing, then you're half of the year, and you have so many big matches with some of these guys that you want to do, and then you're kind of running out of time a little bit for that calendar year. Because I mean, the way that we have to think about this is, much like WrestleMania, everything is going to be built up for All In. Like, that's their big show of the year. So you want all of your stuff kind of figured out for All In. And yeah, I mean, but Joe's doing a tremendous job. So I would love to see Joe.
Yeah, no,
he's awesome.
Joe's a great champion. I'm really enjoying this role of his, but you need to solidify your next guy. You need to figure out what's happening with Max when he's coming back. You got to figure out when Kenny's coming back. There's so many of these, and then who else do you bring in?
Ospreay's coming in soon.
Ospreay too, yeah. Maybe Okada, right? Maybe possibly Okada's coming in. And then there's, Drew hasn't signed his contract yet, so I know that would be a tremendous get for them. If there was anybody available. Maybe they can make that play for Brock Lesnar now. No, I think that's a terrible idea. That's a terrible idea.
Oh, man. Yeah,
you know what's wild? A couple months ago, I know we got to wrap it up, but do you remember before the holidays we were talking about this, and I asked you or you asked me, you said, well, who's that next guy? Like, who's available? Like, they did the CM Punk thing, obviously. They got Chris Jericho. I'm saying name recognition. Who would be somebody that would stop people? I think we were talking about Goldberg then. Like, well, does Tony want to get Goldberg in to do something? Is there anybody left for them to get? That's a reality. That's a real person, possibly.
I guess it depends what you think about Drew, right?
It depends what you think about Drew, yeah.
To me, he's like the best guy going right now. But he also seems to have a little bit of freedom. He seems he seems a little loose.
This new
like,
freedom.
Personality is really coming out. I love this character.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that great?
One. Yeah.
Awesome. His entire I watched it twice. I watched that opening promo twice today. I thought it was, every week that he's been coming out, he's been a home run, right? But it's a whole different guy. Like, he's not a heel. He's not a face. He's just being honest.
Yeah.
About how he feels. when he told CM Punk that he was praying for this moment and his prayers were answered, it was holy moly! Like,
That's the line of the year.
what a line of the year. That was fantastic. I mean, the whole segment with Seth and Cody, he was great. He's just so relaxed. He's not I mean, you could tell that these are his thoughts and his words, right? Or he's become a tremendous actor over the last, I don't know, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But tremendous to see this version of him.
Love it.
What could it do for AEW? I don't know. But he's in a really good spot right now to get whatever he wants with all the injuries in WWE.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we did go a little bit extra because we were gone for a couple of weeks. Next week, I may not be able to do this show on Tuesday. That is still in flux, and we will try and find a time to do it if I cannot. So just follow us on Twitter if you want to find out.
Maybe we could do like a Friday thing too, Garrett. What if we did like a Friday show?
The problem is I have to do that show with Dave on Friday.
That's Dave who? Dave Schmave.
Or maybe I'll just talk Dave into bringing you on to Wrestling Observer Radio. But we do record we do record at like 2:30ish my time, which would be dinner time for you. So I don't know. You'd have to
5:30.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to the wife about that one.
Okay. No, I think you know what? If I'm home on Friday, that would be my first appearance on Wrestling Observer Radio.
Yeah, I'll talk to Dave about it and just let him know that we weren't able to do We're Live Pals, so it'd be interesting to bring Andrew on. So
Dave and I've been texting. We're text buddies now.
Wait, but have you gotten?
I love those.
Wait, have you gotten the accidental? Like he records himself and sends you the file because he like sat on his phone or something.
Do I have to play it for you before we wrap it up?
Is it just a bunch of typing and just slamming the keyboard?
So this was this December 29th.
Oh my
2023 at 8 p.m. on the dot. I get a call. I'm in my tub. Okay. I'm a little lit. I took a little edible. I'm hanging out in my tub. It's 8 o'clock. I get a call and it says DM Dave Meltzer. And I go, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I can't answer this right now. I'm sure he's going to ask me something really important. It was probably about, he was probably calling me about the pay-per-view, World's End, that I was going to.
Yeah.
Because I had asked him, I said, is there anything you want me to ask? Which Corey was there, and Corey did ask some tremendous questions. Yeah. And I missed the call. However, I did get this 1 minute and 32 seconds of Dave just typing. And I will, if I can get it to play.
Yes, we can hear it.
Oh, there's his email. I will save this. I will cherish that email, that voice message for the rest of my life.
All right.
The best.
So make sure you follow Andrew on Twitter. Make sure you follow at WLPF4W for us, and we'll get some word out about next week's show just in case I do have to go to the office on Tuesday and we can't do it.
One more super chat. One more super chat. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Lone Wolf. Another regular name here. What is Sheamus's contract status? Could he jump? I don't see him going anywhere. Yeah, I don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, he does seem like a lifer, though. If he feels like he's in the middle on WWE, it would be about how Tony views him, right?
It would be how Tony views him, yeah.
But he did have a fantastic, 2022.
Dude, there's so many more. We missed a bunch.
Okay, keep it going. Keep it rolling.
I'll do fire. Yeah. We'll do really quick. I want to get to this. Sorry, guys. Ali Khan says, who will have better cardio, Sting or The Rock? I'm gonna go with Sting.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Rock because if he's doing this for real, he's going to train harder for it. And he's younger than Sting. The reason why Sting is probably not doing 5 miles on the treadmill is because he's in his mid-60s, and his knees are probably terrible. So I'm going to go Rock, but it's probably closer than I would think.
And Gravity Guy said, is there any news on Okada? I don't have any news on Okada.
It seems like the news on Okada just went to like a standstill. Yeah. Right? Like he just shut everything down. He's like, I'm just going to finish out this. I got to finish these matches and then whatever, which is great for him because, you know, he's keeping that a mystery.
Yeah. That's it. We're done.
All right. There you go. All right. For Andrew, thank you to producer John. I am Double G.
Thank you.
We will see you when we see you. Peace out.